What's good, everybody? I am the coach, and welcome into your week. Can you believe it? Week 5 mega NFL preview here at the Early Edge, your daily sports betting show of record. We are powered by the almighty Sportsline, the best value in all of sports betting, and it's not close. Now, so many of you have really started to grow this community and grow this brand and grow this audience, and we cannot thank you enough. You know how important it is in our comment section to pound that like button the entire show. You can only do it once, but also we want you to be active because we do polls and we want to know what you guys are thinking about, what you want us to talk about. So watch the Sportsline in the chat. That's my boy Johnny. Now, if he asks you a question, answer it. We're also, in addition to the likes membership we're going to give away, we're also looking for 2 people today that are the most active in our comment section, and you will win a year-long membership to Sportsline. So we got several different ways to win. Let's bring in the stars of the show because we break down every single game of the NFL week with 3 of the brightest minds in the business, period. Right next to me, he's here every time that I am. M Squared. Hello, sir.
Good afternoon, Coach. Good afternoon, guys. I mentioned it on Twitter a little bit ago. Like, if you're going to watch, you should watch all of our shows, but this is definitely one to tune into. It's called the Early Edge for a reason. Get out there and get a good look at these games ahead of time, and I'm ready to go. I actually love Week 5 so far.
21-11-1 to Mikey's point on this show because we try to beat the number. That's the key in NFL betting, is beating the number. Now, I don't know where Snoopy is, but I love it when my man Matty Severance is on the show. Matty, hello, sir.
So what lasts longer, me on this show or Urban Meyer's job? That's what I want to know.
I'm going to guess you. I'm going to guess you. I'm shocked that at this point he hasn't been let go with everything that's happened in the last 24 hours. Horrible look, and an even worse response by him yesterday, throwing other guys under the bus. It was awful. But we will talk about their game this week against the Titans. RJ White, 12-4 on this show. That's why you're the number 1 handicapper at Sportsline in the NFL. Hello, sir.
How you doing? Great week 4 for me, both on the site and on my Vegas contest picks. And I got you on that Pats bet. You remember, I was one of the few people that were like, Pats are covering this one, and everyone else loved the Bucs there. So felt good to be right on that one. Felt good to be right on Monday night. So coming into this week hot.
Yeah, I know. I've got some making up to do. And yeah, I always say if Venmos aren't involved, I don't want to be a part of it. But that's why you are who you are. And I'm just trying to navigate. All right, let's show the schedule for the week because this is kind of the start to our week. Tuesdays is the start during the NFL season. But every single day except Saturday, we have an Early Edge live evening show. Tomorrow it's all about college football, in the PM. Then Thursday we count down to Thursday Night Football. Friday, our prop show. You don't want to miss that. We've got several different guys, Dave, RJ every now and then, prop stars, of course. Then on Sunday, our kickoff preview at 12 Eastern. Then Sunday Night Football preview, countdown to Sunday Night Football. And then, of course, on Monday, we do it 7 to 8, countdown to Monday Night Football. So we have you covered on every day but Saturday. So let's continue to pound that like button. When we get to 100, I'll give away a year-long membership, 200. You know the drill. It's so important. And then also pay attention to Sportsline in the chat. Answer those questions. 2 people will win a year-long membership based off their activity. Okay, here we go. Now, how we do the show, we give away our picks at the start, and then we break down every single game on the docket. RJ, you have the best record so far, so you get to go first. What do you got?
Yeah, I like the Titans this week. You mentioned about the saga with Urban Meyer is going to be a problem there. So they dropped that line from 7 on the look ahead to 4 because the Titans lost to a bad Jets team. And so everybody's willing to, say, oh, they're not as good as they used to be. We thought they were. Well, the Jaguars are going to be a mess coming out of this. They can't concentrate on prepping for a game. So I like the Titans there to go in and get right against Jacksonville. I like the Rams. I have them at -1. I got them Monday morning because I knew that line was coming up. Seahawks just don't look as good as the scoreboard indicates. They didn't play well in that game despite winning last week. It seems like their offense is really just, either 3 and out or hit a big play, and you just can't have success consistently like that. I like the Bills +3. That was another one I had to get early because I knew that line was coming down. So I got that in at +3. I know Mike's going to be on the other side of that one, but the Bills are the best team in the league right now based on what we've seen. Their defense is just awesome. It's like the complete opposite of what the Chiefs are showing on defense at this point. So I think since they can keep up offensively, I like the Bills to go in there and get a win, even in a tough road environment. And then I have Bucks Seahawks -10. It's a huge number. Miami looks like a mess. The offensive line can't block for Brissett, who likes to hold the ball. So I think the Bucs are going to come in and get right there after struggling in the big narrative bowl on Sunday night. They're going to come in and kind of establish what they want to be and win that game by a bunch. And then Saints -1.5. That line seems like it's going to go up as well. Just playing in Washington. Washington's not a great home field advantage. They're not as good as their 2-2 record indicates. The defense has just been terrible. So I think the Saints can get a lot of yards in this game, get some points on the board, and their defense can show up and basically shut down Taylor Heineke, who's done some good stuff. But that Saints defense, regardless of what we saw at the end of the game and overtime last week, is a really good defense. So I think they're going to go ahead and win that game.
All right, 5 great early edge picks. Don't worry, we're going to go into every single game. Other guys will have their thoughts on those games as well. Matty, believe me, I know Tuesdays is early for you. Believe me, I know. But getting past that, you have one of the sharpest minds to really educate the people at home. And also, you've got one play so far that you like. Talk to me.
Well, of course, I'm going against my Bears. They're one of the few teams in the NFL where their most important offensive player isn't a quarterback, but a running back. And David Montgomery's not going to play this week. Damian Williams might not even play. Akeem Hicks might not play. I know the Raiders are on a short week, but there's going to be a ton of Bears fans. I know many of them, they're going to Vegas for the first time to watch a NFL game there, but I don't see how the Bears stay within 7 points of the Raiders, who we've seen they've had a pretty good home field advantage this far. Even again, it might be half and half, but without Montgomery and Hicks, and Derek Carr's going to tear up that secondary. I don't expect the Bears to put much of a fight. Whether it's Justin Fields, Andy Dalton, my sister, Nick Foles, it doesn't really matter. They're just a bad team.
We were thinking about you last night. One of the storylines was Matt Nagy being Matt Nagy saying, hey, It's still Andy Dalton's job.
Whatever,
no matter that he was, he only missed 6 passes, threw for over 200 yards. I guess that wasn't good enough. Yeah. So apparently Matt Nagy wants to be on the sidelines with Andy Dalton next year. All right, so the official play, Raiders -4.5 from Matty. Now, Mikey, I know you got a couple of numbers, and if you target a number on this show, I know you really, really like it. And I'm feeling potentially a sports line showdown bet. I'm going to sit back and just watch how this unfolds. What do you got?
Yeah, I'm always down for a sports line showdown, but you've known me long enough to know that I don't turn down anything there if I like it. So certainly won't turn it down. We'll welcome any and all plays. Bills Kansas City game. We'll start with the Packers, though. I like the Packers a lot. I continue to have them rated higher in my model than pretty much everyone, including the public, obviously. Very high on them. I think this is a great spot for them. I think it's a huge bounce back spot for Devontae Adams. He was pretty quiet in that last game. Aaron Rodgers, I like to play on emotional spots. Burrow is a young up-and-coming quarterback. He will get up for this game. I think it's great. Obviously, they're going to be without Mixon. While running backs don't matter a ton in the league, it definitely changes that offense just enough to makes them a little more predictable as far as where they're going to end up going with the ball. I think that helps this Packers defense here. I think this line's a little short. I think it should be -4.5 for them instead of the -3. So I'm jumped on that one pretty early. At times I've gone back and forth between whether or not the Bengals are overvalued or undervalued. In this particular spot, I do think that they're just a touch overvalued, as I mentioned. So I like the Packers -3. And then the Kansas City game, very interesting there. It's kind of tough to know what to do with them. The defense is obviously a big problem. The offense is obviously very good. Last game against, obviously, it was the Eagles. 7 drives, 6 touchdowns, 1 interception. The offense is going to put up points. They're incredibly efficient on the offensive side of the ball. Now they get to come back home in primetime. So it's just a numbers game here for me, right? So I make the Chiefs and the Bills and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers the 3 best teams in the league. I think a lot of people would probably agree with that still. I have Kansas City about a 0.5 point better than the Bills at the neutral site. And now they get a primetime home game after they just rallied together after those losses. They won on the road together. They get to come back at home in this environment. And regardless of what you think the home field advantage is worth, if I make them 0.5 point better on a neutral site, throw in the home field advantage, you get me to this number that is less than a field goal. I have to play Kansas City at home here -3. Again, I think that they're one of the best offenses there. Obviously, they have to avoid the fumble. They have to avoid the tipped interception. But the offensive efficiency and this Buffalo team, I mean, everything that's in the public perception of Buffalo is how dominant they've been, and they haven't played the best of teams recently. but that's what's sticking out. So when you get to a Sunday night primetime game like this, I am never going to be upset backing the home team. That's also what the sportsbooks are going to want and going to need. This Buffalo team is going to be a pretty big public spot, especially at +3. It's already moved to +2.5, but they're going to be getting 65 to 70% of the action. Come Sunday night, sportsbooks are going to want the Kansas City Chiefs to win as well.
All right, we just saw some of the comments thrown up there during those picks, and some people agree with Mike. Some people agree with my man RJ. So, RJ, it begs the question, would you like a Sportsline Showdown bet with M Squared, sir?
If I wasn't a Bills fan, I would say absolutely. I got enough on this game in my heart. I don't really want to put money on it, too.
Okay. All right, fair enough. And we never, ever chastise anybody for not accepting a bet. We don't do that here at this show. We never shame you into a bet. We just ask, and we move on. And I may ask again. All right, we have our first winner of 100 likes winner at Kyle Burlingame 2. At Kyle Burlingame 2. Now, a reminder, when you play either our Perfect Parlay contest on our normal show, you always have to put your Twitter handle in the comment section, and also you have to follow us at Sportsline so then we can DM you and get a hold of you. Only two things you got to do. Leave us your Twitter handle, follow Sportsline. That's it. And you can win a year-long membership to Sportsline, which is invaluable. So let's get to 200 likes, and I can give away 2 more. And again, I'm keeping track. My man Johnny, keeping track of the comments. 2 people will win just for being active today. All right. Now, let's get into the games. Oh, by the way, I'm going to give away another one. If we can get to 15,275 YouTube subscribers by the end of the show. It's growing so fast, I think we can do it. We only need 20 of you. If you haven't subscribed to our channel yet, do it. I'll give away another one if we get to 15,275. Now, first and foremost, we're fans on this show. Before we get into every game, here's what top 5 games of the week that I myself picked. And I like to ask from a fan perspective, not a gambling perspective, a fan perspective, which one of these games my guys are most looking forward to. Let's throw these 5 up on the screen. Here's what I think are the most interesting games of the week. Rams Seahawks, of course, that's Thursday night. Packers Bengals, Browns Chargers, 49ers Cardinals, Bills Chiefs. Mikey, which game are you most interested in?
I mean, it's cheating to say Bills Chiefs, so I'm not going to pick that one. For me, I think it's going to be 49ers Cardinals. I want to see, can Kyler Murray keep this thing rolling? How do they distribute the football there the way that they have? And then Trey Lance, what's it's going to be like there? So I'll be watching that one. I think that's one of the more interesting ones for me, but all these games are great. Week 5 schedule is just absolutely incredible this week.
I agree. RJ, what do you like here?
Bills Chiefs is going to be number 1 for me and everyone. It should be. But, I'll talk about the Browns Chargers. These are 2 3-1 teams kind of overperforming what people thought before the season. Some people thought before the season. I know a lot of people like Chargers and Browns to both make the playoffs. So they get to test each other, themselves against each other now. I know the Chargers are a little more battle tested having to go against the Chiefs and coming away with a win there. But, the Browns have some pretty dominant wins. I mean, I did not expect them to go to Minnesota and completely shut down that offense last week. I know their defense is good, but I didn't think it'd be that good. So it's going to be a great test for the Chargers offense here. Good test for the Browns, who haven't looked great offensively at times here against the Chargers defense. That's pretty good. So going to be a fascinating game to watch and see who comes out with the win in that one.
Yeah, it most certainly is. Now, Maddie, I tried to get the Bears game on this list, but I just couldn't bring myself to do it. What game are you most looking forward to? Oh, he pulls it J Smooth, as M Squared likes to say. Smooth.
I was checking some news. Patriots COVID issues. I'd say Browns Chargers too. I think it's amazing how much has changed in just a few weeks. Which one of those young guys is a franchise quarterback? It certainly looks like Justin Herbert is, and Baker Mayfield may not be. What Herbert did last night was amazing. I think it'll also be fun anytime the Chargers are home now. Like, it was just interesting to watch that game because it was half Raiders fans, half Chargers fans. Like, it was loud no matter who had the ball. I think that makes it a lot more fun to watch, and I'm sure there'll be tons of Cleveland fans there. But yeah, I want to see, can the Chargers on a short week, are they really here now? Brandon Staley goes for it on 4th down almost every time. It's under 3 yards. But that Cleveland defense, as RJ said, has been amazing. So I think that could be definitely be a playoff preview.
I tell you what, Staley's becoming like my favorite coach in the NFL right now. The dude takes chances. He's likable. Seems like he's as young as the players are, and I just think he's a breath of fresh air in the NFL. I really do. So I'm glad that you brought him up. By the way, real quick, RJ, to go back to you, did you see the post from Myles Garrett with the sleeveless jersey on? And he said, I play a game once in sleeveless jerseys. The next morning, I get a drug test because his arms are so big. Apparently, the NFL required him to get a drug test on Monday. Did you see that?
I didn't see it, but the NFL will tell you it's a little bit randomized. That it's a little coincidental. But I've seen plenty of things that seem very, very suspiciously coincidental over the years to kind of fade that explanation from the NFL, and I can believe it from Garrett.
That is so true and so right. All right, everybody, keep pounding that like button. Let's get to 200, and we got to go through every single game. We have less than an hour to do it, so we have to just rip through them. So, Mikey, I'm going to start with you. As always, whoever wants to talk, just raise your hand. We're going to start, of course, with one of the most anticipated games of the week. The NFC West is going to be so difficult to get out of this year. Rams, the latest number at Caesar Sportsbook. It continues to move, Mikey, -2. The total at 54.5. What do you make of these opening lines?
Yeah, this one's interesting. Obviously, what we got to talk about now is short weeks. By about week 5 is when it really starts to matter, having a short week in the NFL. I found it interesting. I mean, first of all you're going to hear about all week is how great Russell Wilson has been on Thursday nights, and how the Seahawks have been absolutely fantastic on Thursday nights. I think that it's something to note, but I think that obviously each individual team each year is still very different. And both of these teams are very different than they have been in the past. So what's interesting to me, though, is Alex Collins getting all this work last week. He almost had the same number of touches with Chris Carson. And I don't know if that was intentional just to get this team ready for the short week coming up here, or if there's more going on with that. But as far as where I'm leaning in the game, I'm actually not touching the side of it. I like the total here, and I like to go under the 54.5. I know this game opened a little lower than that and has moved up. I think the number here should be 51.5. If I'm being completely honest with you, I think it's a little low. On the short week, we know the Seahawks team is going to be more than comfortable handing the ball off when they can. I still think that this Rams defense is just a little vulnerable on the ground, but I think they're going to be tougher in the red zone here for them. So I like the under in this game. I know that we've got experts on both sides, but for me, the under on the short week here, I think that's the top play in this game.
All right, this is a primetime game. RJ, your thoughts on this primetime game?
Yeah, I jumped on it Monday morning at Rams -1. I felt the sharps were going to push it up. But Mike's exactly right about that trend stuff you're talking about. You look at the trends, you see Seahawks win every time on Thursday night. You go, well, I got to back them then. I mean, they're getting points. But this is a different team. You have to judge these teams by what they're showing. And the Seahawks look kind of broken to me. I mean, their offense had -12 net yards in their first 5 drives in the game that they won on Sunday. They're reduced to either going for 3 and outs or big plays, hitting a big play, or they're punting it essentially. And that Seattle defense benefited from the Garoppolo injury, in winning that game, and they still had mental mistakes. They're just leaving guys wide open to run for touchdowns, and 70+ yard touchdown plays. So that Rams had a stinker last week coming off a big win. The game meant a ton to Arizona. They had been struggling against the Rams historically and Sean McVay, so they needed to prove themselves with that win. This is going to be easier matchup for the Rams, with Seattle playing nowhere near as good as Arizona right now. So I like the Rams, even at 2. I like them. Obviously, you want to get it at 1, but I would lay it up to 2.5, and at 3, I'm probably a stay away.
Mikey, you're the king of the same game teaser. Kevin, YouTube comment said, what about teasing the Rams up to 8 and then the over up to 60 and then playing the under? Would you like that?
Yeah, I think he corrected it in the next comment there. It would be Seattle plus 8.5 is what he was actually referencing.
Oh,
there.
yeah. My apologies. You're right.
But yeah, I think that that's probably the way I would go. Although I would certainly tease the total up and play under for my own personal, but I would probably tease the other side with the Rams and bring their number down a little. I wouldn't add it to the Seahawks side personally.
Okay. I like getting 3 opinions on the primetime game. So, Maddie, where do you stand on this? Because this game is in 2 days. It's not in 5 days.
Yeah, Sean McVay, 15-5, and has passed 20 after a loss. It's the best win percentage in the NFL. He coached, active coach with at least 10 games. I'm actually going to wait and see if Carlos Dunlap's playing. He's their best pass rusher for Seattle, so if he's out, I'll be with RJ on the Rams.
All right, very good. All right, moving on to the next game, and this is a team that broke my heart. The Jets just booted me right out of my survivor pool on Sunday, beating the Titans, getting their first win of the year. They traveled to Atlanta, another team that broke their own hearts on Sunday with a late laydown and letting Washington score late and also cover the spread, which irked me a lot too. So Atlanta giving 3, the total sitting at 46. RJ, let's start with you.
Yeah, what I say about them teasers last week is to be careful with them teasers.
You did.
Down. And the Jets are going to win that game out of nowhere. You're going to be kicking yourself. So, yeah, I mean, in this game, I can't back the Falcons as favorites. How do you not stop J.D. McKissick at the end of the game? He's running for 30-yard touchdowns to win the game. I mean, what are you doing, Falcons? They just look like a mess. I don't want to back the Jets coming off a surprising emotional first win. You know, I like to fade these bad teams coming off wins because I don't think the line's right. They still have a long way to go as a team. Just because they won that game doesn't mean they're a good team. But I only have the Falcons as 2 points better on a neutral. And guess what? This is on a neutral. This is in London. So 3 is too much for me. I don't see why Falcons should be 3 points on really anyone except for the Texans with Davis Mills at quarterback and the Jaguars if Urban Meyer is going to screw around on the weekends, the weekend before the game. But aside from that, give me the Jets +3 as a lean. I'm hoping to get it at 3.5 at some point.
Okay, very good. And don't be that guy, because I've been that guy. Even when I was at ESPN, for 2 years, I hosted the 1 p.m. to 7:30 radio show, which was the most fun show I've ever done until this show. And I can't tell you how many times people would say, oh, I missed getting the bet in because the game started at 9 a.m. Don't be that guy. When it's in London, it's an earlier start. Then sometimes they adjust it. So just know when the starting time is. Just know when the starting time is. Because they moved it back for a couple of games to match up with the 1 o'clock, but it's all over the place. So, Johnny, can you look up the start time for me real quick and so I can get that out to the people and make sure they get the bets in. All right. Anybody else have something on that? We move on to the next game. I didn't see any hands that one. Okay. All right. I like to focus on the bigger games anyway here on the show. The next one, this is a big one. It really, really is, because we're going to see how good the Bengals are, and we're going to see how much focus the Packers have, because the last 3 weeks, and they really focus, guys, they've been great. Aaron Rodgers has been dynamic, but we also saw them week 1 lay down against the Saints. So the Packers on the road giving 3, the total sitting at 50.5. Matty, let's start with you.
Yeah, Cincinnati's kind of like Denver in my mind. I think they're a little false. They had been winless under Zach Taylor in this year in games decided by 5 points or fewer. Now they've got 2 come from behind last-second field goal wins. I mean, they're better. That's fine, but how do you bet against Aaron Rodgers? I'll be personally hoping this game gets under 3. I don't think it will. But the loss of Joe Mixon, as Mike said earlier, I think is just huge. As far as I know, Green Bay doesn't have any major injuries, so I will be liking Green Bay on this one, hopefully.
Yeah, last week we saw, Mikey, that the Bengals, we were all over the Joe Mixon unders, and you never want to see anybody get hurt, but it certainly helped our plays, did it not? That he went down, did not come back in the game, but now the Packers are facing a Bengals team without him. How much do you think that will help the Packers?
I mean, I think it helps the Packers a little bit, just in the sense that the play calling becomes a little bit more predictable on the Cincinnati side. As far as them, I think that P. Ryan is capable at times. The big question is getting T. Higgins back. If they do, that's certainly going to help Joe Burrow there. But overall, I think the Packers team is still undervalued after that embarrassing week 1 game. And then just some of the teams that they've had to play so far. I like the Packers. I think this is a great spot for them. And so, like I said, I think this line should be 4.5. So getting it at 3, I like it a lot. I think the other interesting thing here is Randall Cobb. He came back and actually played quite well, and Aaron Rodgers seems to like him and trust him. The more that they have him out there and have that, I guess, legitimate threat, it's only going to help guys like Devontae Adams. I expect big things from Aaron Jones. I like the way that they use A.J. Dillon in certain spots. I think this is a good spot for this Green Bay Packers team, and I think that they're a team that, as we talk about each week, this team's going to continue to rise up everyone's power rankings. They're going to continue to rise. I think that they are still one of the better teams in the NFL here.
It's funny that you bring up Randall Cobb. For a lot of books, you couldn't even play Randall Cobb because he was like the 3rd or 4th option. Then he scores 2 touchdowns in the game on Sunday. And now, most certainly, you're going to see him as options in our props coming up this week, and maybe a chance to steal some really good value there, as he has not been somebody that the market even looks at before last Sunday. Okay, moving on. Our next game, Lions-Vikings, 7.5. The total sitting on 49. Mikey, I'm coming right back to you to start the conversation on this one. That this number just screams yuck to me. Yuck.
Yeah. I mean, if I had to take it, I would lay it with the Vikings after that awful performance there, bouncing back at home. I should say awful. They played a very good Browns team. Great defense there. I like the Vikings in this game if I had to play it. I don't trust this Lions team yet, and I think that it's nice to have these guys at home here. I like Justin Jefferson a lot. I like that they're giving Cook and Madison both carries. I think some of that obviously has to do with Cook's injury. But I think the Vikings are very clearly the better team at 7.5. I think that they're trying to grab some action with the hook on the Lions, as they've been a team that's shown the ability to try to cover some of these games. But I do like the Vikings here. If I had to play it, that's the way I would go.
Maddie, would you be willing to tease it down to 1.5 and couple it with another play this week?
No.
This show could be 20 minutes.
I don't like
with
this
Maddie.
game at all.
And we don't force the conversation. We promise every game, and we get a really good analysis, and we can move on because nobody really is. This will probably be one of the least bet games of the entire week. There's no question about it. Now, this next game, it's got really popular teams, but we don't know how good they are. And RG, I'm going to come to you on this. The Broncos and the Steelers, Pittsburgh giving one at home, the total sitting at 40. Now, Mike Tomlin said that Big Ben, we taped this on Tuesday, that he is the absolute right quarterback for this offense. They have looked horrible. Then the Broncos, all they focused on is the fact the Ravens decided to run it on the last play of the game to tie the NFL record of 43 straight games with over 100 yards rushing. So those have been the storylines. But what about the game? Talk to me, RJ.
If Big Ben is the perfect quarterback for this offense, you need to get rid of this offense, because I do not like what we have seen in it's now 4 weeks. I mean, they were good against the Bills. A lot of that was the scheme they thought up defensively to defend the Bills, but they have not looked good since then. My question with this game is, how low is the total going to get? It's 40 now. I think it's going to keep coming down. Bridgewater dealing with a concussion. We don't know if he'll play. Drew Lock was not good in relief last week. Big Ben has a hip issue, which was announced. So, I guess that's the malady we're going to blame Big Ben's issues on this week, is the hip after, I think it was a pec 2 weeks ago. Broncos punting 10 times in their first 11 drives on Sunday, but their defense was pretty solid considering the circumstances. So I think they can limit a Pittsburgh Steelers offense that hasn't done anything. This game might be first to 10 wins. So I would lean to the under here, even at 40, because I think it's going to go down a little bit.
Oh my God. This is the type of game that you love having the Sunday ticket. You're like, if you lived in Denver or Pittsburgh and you had to watch this game, can you imagine how much that would suck? Even if you're a Broncos and a Steelers fan, you're like, let me watch something else. All right, I'm going to pick my first random winner. I'm going to come to you, Maddie, 1 second. First random winner, Adam's Apple World. You've been incredibly active, and for that, I'm going to reward you with a year-long membership to Sportsline. And don't worry, Johnny will reach out to you and give you all the details. But I'm going to give away another one. Stay active in the chat as we are crossing the bottom of the hour. All new viewers coming in. You're watching Early Edge Live, our Week 5 Mega NFL Preview. We are currently talking Broncos and the Steelers, and we're going back to the Lady Killer. Matty Severance, what do you got, pal?
Well, I just wonder how much, I agree Roethlisberger looks terrible. I wonder how much personal pride measures in for a player. Obviously, I've never played pro football, but Big Ben has never lost 3 consecutive home starts in a single season, and I have a feeling someone like him knows that. Doesn't want to, go down. This is the last year of his career. He wants to be embarrassed at home by, especially a Drew Lock-led Broncos team. So I actually love the Steelers here, unless Roethlisberger is ruled out by some miracle.
So make no mistake about it.
Matt, let me ask you something. You think this week Big Ben's going to try to win, is what you're saying?
Well, I just think the little things obviously he's trying to win, of course, but I think there's always a little bit more to believe. They're 1-3. I mean, if they don't win this week, they're done. They're probably done anyways, granted. But I think the players, I just read Michael Jordan backwards. He knew slates, little statistical slates all the time. I'm not saying Ben Roethlisberger is Michael Jordan in any sense of any word, but just little things like that. I know a lot of athletes keep this kind of stuff in the back of their head. They need a little bit more motivation.
I tell people all the time, RJ is low-key a savage on Twitter, and you guys have got to follow him because you get stuff like that when he just wants to turn it in just a little bit. But to Maddie's defense, these great players have had great careers. They understand these numbers. They understand. It's just like the Ravens last week going, it meant something to the players, to the franchise. Yeah, they wanted to have the 100. It's Vic Fangio. I kind of agreed with him, but I also kind of agree with John Harbaugh with his reasoning too. It matters to who it matters to. So I think that's a great point. RJ, you're still a savage. All right, moving on to the next game. It's going to be very interesting because Tom Brady had this emotional week. They go to New England. RJ was right again, but they walk out still with the victory. They got it done. And we know in the NFL it's all that matters, but not to us because we want them to cover the spread. But they're now laying 10 at home against a Dolphins team that we don't even know what their identity is. The total sitting on 48. And I believe, Maddie, we're coming to you. What do you got?
It's just a random stat I like. It really doesn't matter for this game, but every season after Brady's won a Super Bowl, he's lost to the Dolphins at least once. Obviously, he was in the AFC East previously, but yeah, I don't have a lot of thoughts on this game. I mean, it seems like a little bit of a trap game for the Bucs, but I don't know. Might we see Reed Sinnett for the Dolphins? I mean, I don't even know who that guy is, and I sort of do this for a living. So yeah, I don't. Brian Flores. It seems like he just doesn't know what to do with his offensive coordinators. Good defensive coach. Players seem to respect him, but he just does not know offense whatsoever. So they got some major problems. So this will be definitely you have to win 17-10 maybe or something like that. So I'd go the under on this one.
Okay,
Yeah,
RJ.
I think, the key thing is it a letdown spot for Tampa coming off that New England game, emotional game, Thursday night matchup up next. It isn't to me. Miami could be 0-4. They got outplayed in that 1-point win over the Pats. The D couldn't stop Indy last week, and Indy's not a great offense. And that Miami offensive line can't protect Brissett. So good luck with this Bucs pass rush. And when you can rush the passer and you don't give him any time to throw, that minimizes the cornerback injuries because the corners don't have to cover for as long down the field. So to me, you're talking about, if it needs to be 17-10 for them to cover there, this feels like a 34-13 type of game if the Dolphins can make it to 13. So that's why I locked Tampa as a best bet at -10 because I don't think it's getting under 10.
See, I love that description because it feels like to me, RJ, how we discussed Houston and Buffalo a week ago. We're like, this feels like it'd be 37-3, 37-10. And what happens? 40-0. Sometimes it is what it is, and that feels like it too. Mikey, do you agree with RJ on this, or do you agree with Maddie that you just stick to the under and not touch a side?
I haven't touched a side on it, but the model will tell me that it should be 11.3 I'd make it over 10. Which is through that relatively. It's still an important number in the NFL. So if I had to play it, I would certainly lay the 10 with Tampa. I think it's a great spot. I do think there is a minor risk for the look ahead spot as they are going to be on the short week the next week on Thursday Night Football. But overall, I would be much more worried about it if this were a road start. Even though it's obviously in the same state, it's not a big thing. But if this were like a road game where they were favored by 10 with the Thursday Night Football game coming up, then I think we'll talk about it and we'll think about it a lot more. But if you're playing this one, I don't see how it's anything but Tampa -10.
Okay, very good. Let's keep pounding that like button, and don't forget to leave your Twitter handle in there so we can pick a winner, and also continue to answer the Sportsline questions that we have now added to the show because we're giving away a year-long membership for the most active fan today. So let's move on. Next game on the slate. Two more teams that even after 4 weeks, we really don't know. Saints laying 1.5 on the road against Washington. Saints have looked great a couple of weeks. They look kind of blah in a couple of weeks, and they lost to the Giants in overtime at home, and a game they should have won. Total sitting at 44.5. Mikey, we're coming back to you.
Yeah, this one's tough. I keep waiting for the Washington defense to really be good. And obviously this New Orleans Saints team is very inconsistent so far this season. They're at home. I'm very interested to see what happens with Washington and Curtis Samuel. If he's going to play more snaps, he played 37% of snaps last week in his season debut, which was on the road. Now they're going to be at home, more comfortable environment, the one he's been rehabbing in. I don't think he plays less than 37%, but if all of a sudden he ramps up to 60, 70% of the snaps, I think that does help this offense enough that I would be a little cautious on the Saints side. But having said that, I think that this is a good bounce back spot for the Saints. I haven't played it. I do think the number is efficient where it's at. I'm very interested to watch, but there's just so much going on with both of these teams that I need to see some consistency from the Saints. And then I still am projecting this Washington football team to be better than they have shown. And that's partially a product of me using larger sample sizes of data when I'm doing that. So I'm going to stay off of it for now and see what happens throughout the week if we get more news on either side of the ball. But overall, I personally believe that it is priced appropriately in the market right now.
All right. And as always, that's the reason we have that noon show on Sunday. RJ, what do you got, bud?
Yeah, I agree. It's pretty, 1.5 is probably what it should be, but I was willing to go on the Saints anyway, despite the score last week. The New Orleans offense had its best game against the Giants. The D just fell apart at the end. The Washington defense has been shockingly bad. And I agree with Mike that we probably need to see more. They're probably not as bad as they've looked, but we thought they were going to be a top 2, top 3 unit. And I don't, by the end of the year, I don't think we can say that that's going to happen. At best, maybe they get to that top 10 range, but 2 or 3, that's not going to happen. So New Orleans, I think, is going to come in and put up points. Then Washington offense has also been inconsistent, like the New Orleans offense. But they're going to be down Brandon Scherf and probably Logan Thomas in this game, which you lose Logan Thomas, that probably ups the chances of Curtis Samuel getting some looks there, to Mike's point. You don't want to use him more if you're not going to have Thomas to rely on. So Saints have a bye next week. I expect them to come out firing, getting their head right after losing to a team that they were favored big against in their first home game of the season, and they'll get a win here. So best bet, New Orleans 1.5. It's going up. You might not be able to get 1.5. You might get 2. I think once you get to 2.5 range, it becomes iffy. And 3, I'm probably staying away.
Yeah, so get that in right now. It's the reason we do the show on Tuesdays. I don't want to get any tweets on Saturday. Coach, why are you guys giving out lines that don't exist anymore? Somebody the other day, last night, I swear to God, somebody wrote this, and we put it up on the show. They said, you should really do this show on Friday because you're giving out numbers that don't happen on Monday. And I said, we literally do a prop show on Friday. Every single Friday we do a prop show. And somebody said, you should really do a prop show on Friday. Turn on your notifications, please. Please, please, please turn on your notifications. All right, moving on. We have 3 more early games to get to. Eagles, Panthers. RJ, I'm coming right back to you. -3.5 on Carolina. I think were exposed last week as Dallas beat them 36-28. The total's sitting at 45. Talk to me.
Yeah, they predictably took a step back in a tough matchup without their best offensive player. They're going to be better moving forward. I don't think you can just write them off based on what happened last week. I mean, I had Dallas -4.5 or I think -4 in one of the contests or on the site. So, kind of expected what we saw there. The Carolina rush D just completely fell apart against Dallas. Part of that is the teams they had played before that. But Philly doesn't run much despite their efficiency doing it. So I'm not that worried about Carolina giving up a big rush total here. And Philly made some bad decisions to kick field goals against Kansas City. You're not going to win kicking field goals against a team that is just going to go touchdown over and over again. And that Philly defense looked terrible for a second straight week. I know some of that's playing Dallas and Kansas City, but I just think with Brandon Graham out, they are not a good defense. Philly's at Tampa on Thursday next week. I don't know if Sirianni's his first time having to deal with that short Sunday to Thursday work week. He's going to be 100% focused on this game, or is he going to have a mind to the other game? So Panthers -3.5. I'm surprised it moved down because it was 4. Because Panthers are a side I was leaning toward anyway. And at 3.5, I think that's a good play.
All right, very good. Anybody else have something on this game or moving on? We still got a lot to get to, and we're going to keep moving on because even one analysis is better than most people's 3 or 4. That's why we like to keep this show moving. Continue to pound that like button. We just got to 200, so I got another winner at Ghost of Squatch. How did you come up with that? At Ghost of Squatch. You're the newest family member of Sportsline. Welcome to the team. I love the fact that a lot of you will answer other people's questions in the chat. I love that. That means we're all in this together because I don't have time to get to everything. We get to as much as we can. All right, next game, Titans at the Jags. And I'm going to be coming to Maddie, but I know, RJ, you've got to take on this game too. It's one of your best bets. -4 is the number, Maddie, and the total sitting at 48.5. Talk to me.
Well, like RJ joked earlier, if I forget who we were talking about, if Ben Roethlisberger doesn't want to win, well, I think the Jaguars are going to want to win no matter what their coach is doing. In fact, they might want to win more in spite of him because he's kind of embarrassing himself. They are on extra rest. I know that hasn't mattered a lot this year so far. They did play quite well last week. The Titans, that's why I'm wondering your number, RJ. You still got to back the Titans if Brown and Julio Jones are out again. I won on the Jets money line last week without those two, and they obviously did not look the same offensively. So I'm curious your take if those two are out again, if you still like Titans -4.
Yeah, well, the Jets have a defense. They have a defensive head coach that has a mentality of what you need to do and to elevate the guys that, even when San Francisco didn't have the talent defensively, he was still elevating them and they were playing well. Jacksonville is the complete opposite of that. They don't have the talent on D. I think they might be 32nd in some of the key, metrics that I look for there. So the Tennessee injuries at receiver are a problem, but I think Urban Meyer's distraction is a bigger problem. This dropped off the look ahead of -7 with the Tennessee loss. I don't really get that. 4 seems to be like the low point for me. So players aren't going to play hard for Mayer. I don't think they care, about the win or loss. They're just not going to play hard for that guy right now. They're joking about his excuses in the locker room once he leaves. So Henry might get 300 yards in this game. Who's going to want to tackle him for a coach that you don't care if he wins or loses? So I would be worried about the backdoor cover at 7 with this Tennessee defense against most teams, but less so at 4 now that they've dropped it down. So that's why I like 4 because you don't want to lay big numbers with Titans because they can give you backdoor covers all the time, but less of a concern at 4.
Yeah, I tell you what, Mikey made a good point on our other show that the biggest issue with the Urban Meyer thing is the fact that he did not fly home with the team. And I don't know why more people are not making a bigger deal of that, because in the NFL, and you have a rookie quarterback, what's the one thing you want to do after any game? You get on your charter flight, you call them up to the front, and you go over stuff that literally is fresh in your minds and just happen. You say, listen, fix this, let's work on this. But to stay when you can easily afford a private jet back up if you want to see your grandkids, right, Mikey? That was your thought process, and that's what you got to do.
Yeah, I mean, if they had won the game there, they started out hot. If they had won the game and they had some fun and partying, like, okay, I'm going to stay here, a little okay with that. But the fact that they ended up losing that game with the rookie quarterback, you get on the flight. If you're trying to rally that team, it's your first year in the organization. You get on the flight, you bond, you land, you get on another jet if you need to, and you get out of there. You got the resources to do it. It's not hard to do. So I did have a problem with that. So as far as this game goes, I do agree completely with RJ. Is this number, if it were approaching 7, I'm very worried about the backdoor cover. I do not trust this Titans defense at all. The biggest look for me in this game right now is going to be the over if you're getting it less than 49. I think that the over could be a very sneaky play here. I know that we take a hit in terms of offensive efficiency without the 2 big receivers for the Titans. However, their receivers that they have are more than capable. As RJ mentioned, they played a legitimate defense last week in the Jets. They're not necessarily doing that here. So I do think that this game is going to be one that's going to be maybe a little more competitive for most of the game than you might think. I do think the Titans can pull away in the fourth quarter in this one as Trevor Lawrence throws that second interception or they turn the ball over. But as of right now, it's one where you're probably going to end up laying it with the Titans, but I'm looking at that over as long as I'm getting it under 49 points.
YouTube comment. I want to ask you guys very quickly this question from Richie Smalls. Johnny, if you can bring that up. He said there's got to be odds on the over-under amount of games that Urban Meyer coaches this year. Do you think he doesn't last the year, RJ?
I think he lost the year. I think they invested too much in his first year. That if they didn't knock him out of the role, after this, they had to sit down, they wagged their finger at him. They're not going to do it. They're going to play with him for this year and then reevaluate after the season, I think.
All right. Maddie?
Yeah, we put up an ad story earlier today. He's, easily the first coach fired. But yeah, I don't think Shad Khan's going to, hey, $50 million every game winner. I don't think he's going to just fire him. If he would have had the morals clause issue, he would have done it already. So yeah. I think Meyer will retire for health reasons and get a nice walk-away bonus after the season.
How do you not have a morals clause in every single contract? That's amazing to me. And also, you see the I guess the statement from Shad was he apologized, and I think it's sincere. Well, I would love for every apology to be sincere. I really would. Doesn't mean that it was. Mikey, your thoughts on whether or not he lasts the year?
I think he lasts a year. I don't think he'll be the first coach fired either, obviously. I think that what's going to happen there is if he's gone, it's going to be under his own will. Like, it's going to be, I'm walking away. I'm done with football again for a while. And I think that is well within the range of outcomes as things get deeper and deeper. But I don't think there's really much chance that the team really lets him go unless just more details and more things come out that just get worse and worse. Mm-hmm. But as of what we know now and what's like publicly available, I don't see them letting him go. I think that they, again, have invested too much money at this point in the season. They know they're not really contending this season based on where they're at already. So I think they're going to let it play out and continue to develop things. But the only way he's gone is if he leaves on his own.
It's amazing, but that's kind of on brand for him too, that he's walked away from several big time gigs and he always uses something different as an excuse to walk away. It's health, but then he takes Ohio State. Then it's the scandal and he walks away and goes to Fox. Then it's I'm never coaching again. And I mean, it's just one thing after another with Urban Meyer. This may be the last straw for him and his career. We'll see. All right, one more 1:00 game to get to. The Patriots coming out that very disappointing loss, 1917 to the Buccaneers and Tom Brady at home. They're laying 9. Wow, they're laying 9 to a Texans team that couldn't even get on the board against the Bills. The total sitting at 39.5. Mikey, you're up first.
The number is appropriate if they were playing at home. Here, it's a big number in this league. This Texans team can definitely still put up points. I know they didn't win that game, but it also could be a letdown spot for them after such a tough emotional game that they didn't come out on the right side of. I thought they played incredibly well. I thought they did a great job, other than some of the decisions that like Bill's decision to kick at the end, I did not agree with, and I did not like that. But yeah, I'm not touching it here. I think that the number, like I said, would be appropriate if they were at home. On the road, it's probably the true number should probably be 8.5, not 9. But either way, not one that I feel great about after such an emotional spot at home and not getting that victory.
Yeah, that seems like a weird number to lay on the road to Houston. Maddie, what do you got?
Yeah, there's a couple, and it's just Ian Rappaport just broke because a couple people are saying there's a bit of a COVID issue on the Patriots right now. They're 2 starting left guard and left tackle just got put on the COVID list today. So Trent Brown's hurt, so who knows what could be going on there. We could have several guys miss the game. So, well,
we know this year there are no rearranging the schedule. There's no canceling. If you don't have enough players to play or whatever, you forfeit. It's a loss. So you better be very, very careful with COVID this year. There is no moving this stuff around like the Ravens did a year ago. Now, our little brand here has started to grow so much, we now have commercials in the show. So we still have our 4 o'clock games to get to, but let's hear a word from our friends at Paramount Plus.
Joining Inside the NFL on Paramount Plus is a huge honor, and I'll be preparing with the same intensity that I did throughout my career. Brandon with the hand signals to emphasize his point. Amazing technique. Phil takes such a cerebral approach to this game.
You go down and you bite his ankles.
He's an innovator. JB uses SAT words a bunch. Frivolity, that is a Harvard man.
Inside the NFL. New episodes streaming Tuesdays exclusively on Paramount Plus.
That just felt big time, didn't it? Julian Edelman interrupting our show. True story, by the way. Back when I first started my career in Kansas City, I was on local TV for a year or something like that. I was fast-tracked. I worked with Lenny Dawson, who was on Inside the NFL, right, out of New York, Showtime, the whole deal. And through that, he introduced me to Johnny Unitas. I'm 22 years old. I got to meet Johnny U because I got to work with Lenny Dawson, who is one of the most amazing human beings you'll ever meet in your life. And he was part of that show for a long, long, long time. And it still is on today. And now it shifts over to Paramount Plus. All right, let's move on to the 4 o'clock games because we are approaching the top of the hour, and we got to get out of here. So, Bears and the Raiders. -5.5, Las Vegas. The total sitting at 44.5. RJ, talk to me.
This was 4.5. It jumped up to 5.5. I liked it better, 4.5. I would still lean to the Raiders. I think it should be 6. I mean, look ahead was 6.5. So, that 4.5 didn't last that long. The Vegas offense disappeared against the Chargers, but still scored 59 points against the Ravens and Steelers at the beginning of the season. So I still think there's upside there. Justin Fields has 52 pass attempts and 12 sacks. So that Raiders defensive line, which is their strength on defense, should have a big day against this line for the Bears. Chicago's D also has 15 sacks on the year. May beat up Carr too. Under might be a consideration here, especially if you're getting 45 or better. But on the side, 5.5 seems like it's around right. I'm not rushing out to play it either way.
Okay. By the way, Joe Neuenfeld in the comment section said the jeweler is killing it with the questions today. I've got to give credit where credit's due. We have another producer to the stars that we have started working with the brand. His name's Johnny. Still coming up with a nickname, but he's the one behind the 1s and 2s today. So give him credit, not the jeweler. Jeweler runs the whole brand. Johnny is under the jeweler, but they're all amazing. Freaking amazing. All right, next game, Browns, Chargers -1.5. You already heard at the top of the show, this is one of our plays. Maddie, talk to me.
Yeah, I'll be honest, even though I think it's one of the most interesting games of the week, I don't have a lot of feel for the number yet. I don't like to even imagine a team that played on Monday night until I found out who got hurt. I saw Austin Eckler was pretty gimpy parts of that game. If he wasn't going to play, that would change my play. So, honestly, on this game, I'd have to wait and see how the Chargers come out on Monday night's win.
Okay, fair enough. Anybody else have a feel? This is one of the best games of the week. RJ, your thoughts on this one?
Yeah, ultimately, I think both offenses should have success in this. Couldn't turn this one to a shootout at like 48.5. I mean, the Chargers' pass defense continues to shine, but you can beat them on the ground. And if you're looking at a team on the schedule, you don't want to play their run game. It's probably the Titans #1 and the Browns #2. That Browns defense did fantastic against Minnesota. We'll see if they can win consistently versus an improved Chargers offensive line. So if the Chargers are going to be able to block for Herbert, he's going to put up points, I think, on the Browns pass defense. And then I do like the points to come back the other way too. So we're leaning to the over. I was surprised this moved all the way to Chargers -1.5 because it had been Cleveland -1 at some spots. So I would look to fade that move. I'll check to see if it's going to move anymore. Maybe come back with the Browns at a +2, +2.5, something like that.
You know what that tells us right there?
Chief says the dogs are going to be barking here.
You're damn right he does. Mikey, talk to me. Talk to me about Chief.
So I think the Browns are going to – Chief. Apparently we got some window cleaners right now.
Up. All right, go ahead.
Chief, that's enough. All right, I think the Browns are going to absolutely run crazy. Their backs are going to run crazy over this Chargers front here. I think that this is a good spot for the Browns offense to kind of bounce back. Like RJ, I do kind of like the over here. 47 is too low. It's 47 right now at Caesars.
Okay.
It should be 49.5. So I do like the over. I think it has massive shootout potential because I do not see this Chargers defense stopping the Browns rushing attack, which is going to open things up just enough for Baker Mayfield to be good again.
I feel like, Maddie, that Snoopy could help Chief just calm down just a little bit. He's like, come on, just calm down on the couch behind me, just like he does. I feel that.
Well, the key is lots of Benadryl.
You give your dog you know, whenever a show's coming up, you just pop it with some Benadryl. That's hilarious. All right, next game, NFC East. Cowboys. They have been one of the really good teams so far in the NFL. They should be undefeated. They blew the game late opening night against the Bucs, or they would have won every game. They're laying a touchdown. The total sitting at 52. Mikey, talk to me.
Yeah, this is another one. I don't love the number in the division game, but I love this team. I've been on them a lot early this season, a lot like Green Bay. I think these two teams are still very, very good. In a league where you need that offensive efficiency now, I think that I like both of these teams. So if I had to play it, I would be on Dallas here. I think that they're, like I said, a very good team. I think that they're potentially even a top 5 to 6 team in the NFL right there. So I'm admittedly higher on them than most people probably are, but I think the Cowboys are very good.
The maestro just texted me. He said he thinks that Chief is on the over. He said Chief is on the over. He just texted that to me. That's pretty funny. Real quick, we have our second random winner of the show. And this is a new prize that we came up with today because we want all of you to be as active as possible in the comment section. So, at Magnum CC1, you are our second member. You've been incredibly active. We've been paying attention to you. We will contact you. You are the newest member of our Sports Line family. Keep pounding that like button. If we get to 300 before the end of the show, which is going to happen in the next 5 to 7 minutes, I will give away 2 more memberships to Sportsline, but we have to get to 300 likes. All right, our next game, we have 3 more to get to. 49ers and the Cardinals. They made a statement last week going to SoFi and just running the Rams right out of the building. So they remain unbeaten. They're laying 5.5 to San Francisco, the total sitting at 50. RJ, I'm coming to you.
Yeah, this price is inflated with Arizona as the last undefeated team with San Fran losing its quarterback. Look ahead was Cardinals -2.5. Well, I would typically say 3 points, probably a good QB tax when you're going to the backup quarterback. I mean, isn't this the Shanahan, the offensive genius's time to shine? If we think that he's an offensive genius, he's going to drop some stuff here for Lance to have success. He could come out with a much different offense than Arizona's seen on tape and have the edge here because they just don't know how to defend it. San Fran's D has been solid, just not generating the turnovers yet. I think they have 1 turnover on the year, but they're going to come. You're just not going to have that bad turnover luck all year. Arizona's D has a problem stopping the run, 31st in yards per rush. That's not great versus a Shanahan team. So my lean here would be San Fran plus 5.5. We'll see if it grows anymore with people, jumping on the Cardinals bandwagon, gets to 6.5. But I think 49ers are probably the way you're looking at this one.
I wonder if this is the Trey Lance coming out party. Just a little gut feeling. I wonder if this is going to be. I don't know. It's all about Jimmy G, but at some point, Trey Lance is going to get his spot, and I believe he's going to be a dynamic dynamic NFL quarterback when he gets his chance. I don't know if it's going to be now. I really don't. All right, this next game, I want to get everybody's take on. And we're going to start, Maddie, with you, because this is the game of the week. And we get it on Sunday night, which means we get a full hour on Sunday to break this game down, which I'm extremely excited about. The Bills, Chiefs, right now it's hovering around 2.5 for the Chiefs. Total at 56.5. Very robust. Maddie, start the discussion.
Yeah, RJ made a good point on Buffalo's defense, but yeah, I mean, look at the offensive they played, and that's a little less impressive. I don't know how much has changed between these teams since the 2 games last year when Kansas City pretty much dominated both. That they're having to give less than a field goal at home, I agree with the Chiefs owner there. I would probably give it 2.5.
Hey, Mikey, who is Chief on in this game? I know who you're on.
Yeah, Chief's going to roll with me here. We'll call them the dog because frankly the Bills are the underdog in the game, but they're definitely the betting market favorite here. Everyone's going to be on the Bills here with the points, so we're going to be on the underdog, Kansas City at home. For the reasons that I told you, I think that there's absolutely zero doubt that these are the 2 best teams in the AFC. We will see what happens throughout the season if you think that the Browns, or I guess the Ravens, if you still believe in them, all the way up there. But as of right now, these are the 2 best teams in the AFC. I make Kansas City half a point better on the neutral field. I think that the home field advantage is a significant thing in a primetime spot on a Sunday night like this, especially in a year where the Chiefs are struggling a little bit. Everyone's going to rally behind them there. So I think that this is a gift getting it under 3. I think the efficient number would be 3.5. They can't hang that number up there because the public and everyone, frankly, is going to jump all over that. And it's just too big of a liability for them to lay 3.5. So that's why it is where it is. They want some action on 2.5. They want to even it out just a little bit because right now it is overwhelming towards Buffalo and definitely trending that way. But I like the Chiefs here. Again, offensive efficiency matters in my opinion. And especially with this team, it matters more than defensive efficiency does in this league. So I think that this is going to be a shootout, obviously, but this Kansas City offense is efficient. They're at home. I like them here. And then not to mention, we haven't mentioned Josh Gordon yet. What is he like? Mm-hmm. Is he going to be a factor at all? I think he's activated. He's going to be out there. I think that if Kansas City has some trick plays out there and things ready for this season, this is where we're going to see them. This is a game that it means a lot to them. They need to win this game at home, and I think they get it done.
Yeah, there are a lot of different reasons that both teams need to get the job done. But in particular for Kansas City, if they want to go back to a 3rd Super Bowl, we now know that there are 7 playoff teams. And last year they made a big deal out of getting that number 1 seed and the only bye. They're now 2-2. This, if you're talking about that, is a must-win for the Chiefs. And then your Bills on the other side, they need to make a statement and say, we're the best team in the AFC. Which team needs this more in your mind?
Yeah, the Bills need to prove themselves too. I mean, they got their butts kicked in that AFC Championship game. We thought it would be a game, I think, going into that one, and it just wasn't. So this is the one they circle. You come out of that, you're playing the Chiefs. This is the one that you need to come out and prove yourself. I mean, last week I had the Chiefs, Bucks, and Bills all tied in top of my power ratings, and that Chiefs defense just looked bad again. And it was against an Eagles team that has offensive line issues, that has a quarterback that some people have doubts on, that has some limited, pass catching talent, that isn't blowing up the league with their pass catchers. And they just go out and let them run up and down the field and kick some field goals once they get inside the 10-yard line for some reason. But Nick Sirianni's going to be coaching this game, so I'm not worried about Brian Dable and not doing the right thing. So Chiefs have played 3 possible playoff teams to start. They gave it the 461 yards to Philly. Their D looks terrible. 3.34 points per drive is what they've allowed, worst in the league. Buffalo's allowing 0.79 points per drive. And I know Buffalo hasn't played anyone. You'll use that argument. They shut out 2 of the last 3 teams they've played. So even when you're playing bad teams, if you can shut them out, I mean, how much better do this defense need to perform for you to buy into this team? So, like I said, I had them all 3 tied last week. Buffalo's not my number 1 team. I have them a point better than Kansas City and Tampa because Tampa has their defensive issues in the secondary right now as well with their injuries. So, with Philly scoring on 6 to 8 drives, only missing at the end of the first half and 4th along from Kansas City territory, I just look at what this Buffalo offense is going to do when they go in there. I could see them running to 40. And then if the Bills defense gets any amount of stops, I don't know if the Chiefs are going to make it to 40. So I think the Bills are going to come out with a win. They need this. They need to prove themselves. And they need to know the AFC playoffs need to come through Buffalo because you don't want to go to Kansas City. You don't want to go to any of these other places and have to win. That didn't work out for them last year.
And nobody wants to go to Buffalo in January and play a game there. That's for damn sure. Now, last week, Sunday night, Bucs, Patriots, highest bet game of the season. I think this has potential to supplant that game as the most bet game so far in 2021. One game left to get to. Colts, Ravens, Monday night. Ravens, they got the job done. Defense looked great against the Broncos, 23-7, and they tied the NFL record, 43 straight games with over 100 yards rushing. They're laying a touchdown at home, the total sitting at 46. Mikey, talk to me.
Yeah, this one's tough. I was encouraged that the Colts got back to bringing Jonathan Taylor out there. I was also encouraged that Marquise Brown actually caught the ball that he was supposed to catch in that last game. He definitely needed to do that. I think Baltimore is still the better team. I think that I can't trust. It sounds like it's a dumb comment. Of course, they're the better team, obviously. But in terms of the number here, if I had to play it, I would probably be laying the -7 with the Ravens at home here. I just don't know that I can trust Carson Wentz enough. And some of the pieces that they have around, while they are okay individually, I think that Lamar can control this game enough. I hate laying a full touchdown with this Ravens team. I think they're a good team that's going to find ways to just win football games. I just don't love laying this number. The simulations will tell me this one should be closer to 8.5. So I probably should be taking it. Just right here, I don't feel comfortable as of yet on Tuesday laying a full touchdown with this team. Again, I think they're great. I think they find ways to win football games, especially at home here. It just is a big number in this conference.
And a lot of people in the comment section agree with you. Maddie or RJ, do you have a take on this one before we get out of here?
I mean, that Indy score last week was a little inflated by Miami miscues deep in their territory. They got like 2 free field goals out of that. Baltimore's defense rolling with back-to-back excellent games on the road. The pass offense looks strong. Impressive day against a quality Denver defense. Lamar looks like he's coming to his own as a passer. He's going to get Rashad Bateman back. He's coming off the IR at some point. So that pass offense does have some upside. And I think Indy's going to improve once they start getting healthier, but I don't know that that's going to happen in this game. They just keep on dealing with injuries on the offensive side of the ball. Baltimore's just too strong to fade here, I think. I'm with Mikey. Either play Baltimore or stay away on this one.
All right. Maddie.
Agree completely. Going to wait and see what the number does, but yeah, early lean definitely on the Ravens.
All right. Well, we did not get to 300 likes, but you got the best early information that you will get in the business. Tell your friends, subscribe to our YouTube channel, because you can't get sharper advice than we get right here on Tuesdays at 5 Eastern time. All right, Johnny, let's throw up the recap one more time. These are the official plays from the Early Edge Week 5 NFL preview. RJ's on the Titans, Rams, Bills, Bucks, and Saints. Maddie early plays the Raiders, and M Squared is on the Packers and the Chiefs -2.5. No sports line showdown bet between Mikey and RJ. We're just going to root for our collective favorite teams and have at it. Thank you all so much for growing the brand. Continue to tell your friends, subscribe to our YouTube channel. Come to every single show that we have, because we're growing, and you guys have no idea what we have in store for you over the course of the next 4 to 6 months. It's going to be incredibly fun, and as soon as we can tell you, I will. But for now, we grind every single day, and there's only one thing left to do. Sometimes I have to get my shoulder kind of oiled up a little bit, because I don't want to throw it out and say, you've got your marching orders. Let's take all of these tickets straight to the pay window. For M Squared, for Maddie, the lady killing, RJ, the stoic one, Johnny, our new rock star producer, I'm the coach. Remember, it doesn't matter the day. It doesn't matter the sport. We've got you covered. Tomorrow, college preview, and also the MMA is back this week. UFC, we got a full MMA preview as well with our new MMA handicapper, Andrew Gambas, in your feed tomorrow as well. Tell your friends, there's only one daily sports betting show of record. We like to call it The Early Edge. Good luck. Do you want best bets in your feed every single day? All you have to do is hit that subscribe button to stay up to date with all things Early Edge.